It's showtime, folks. 1025, 1063, the game. Welcome in. Chase and Big Joe. He's Big Joe. I'm Chase McCabe. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a fantastic day to this point. JoJo, what's up?
What's going on, man? I listened to you last night. Great job as the Preds got the big win in Vegas. So I stayed up with you till about midnight, buddy. So Not only are we best friends on the radio, we're best friends off the radio.
Darn right we are. Yeah, it was funny. If you listened to the post-game show last night, I was I got a little tired. I hadn't done this in a while, and I was struggling to put sentences together.
Well, I listened. I think between the first and second period, you were giving an update, and you're like, this, and you're like, and you pause, you're like, really, I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I was like, what? Perfect.
I was trying to find a word, and I just couldn't.
Good
find
for you.
it.
I for years I worked in TV, and when somebody'd mess up on the prompter, and they'd get all upset at the prompter operator at themselves. I was like, just own up to the mistake.
Yeah,
people really they find that somehow endearing when you do
Right.
that. So good for you, man.
Right. So a big win last night for the Predators, and I'm not. It's 2 games, but what I've seen over the past 2 games from this team, they've scored 10 goals in the last 2 games after getting run out of the building 9-2 by Dallas. And it's the young guys, the secondary scoring that's getting in there and doing their job. That has to make Barry Trotz and Andrew Brunette feel good, and it has to make the team feel good. As they win 5-3 over Vegas last night.
Well, it only empowers what Barry Trotz's message was of, you're not going to go see U2. You can go see U1, but you're not going to go see them at the Sphere. And, you got grounded, right? So you got grounded. And then you're like, then you get mad and go out and play well. So good for them, man. So 2-0 on the road trip. I mean, that loss last week, and we talked about it, the 9-2 loss, that was embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
That was awful. So now you've gone and you've totally redeemed yourself with 2 wins like that. And, they got the Kings tomorrow night, correct?
Correct, yes.
They should. So Sacramento's not having a good year, so they should take him down. They should. I'd like to see that is like a flip. Basketball versus. Could you imagine how bad the Sacramento Kings would beat the Nashville Predators in a basketball game? Then flip it around. How bad what would be worse? I think it would be worse the Preds beating the Sacramento Kings, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
They don't know how to skate.
Well, you don't know that.
The Sacramento Kings, I bet you there's not a single player on that team that knows how to ice skate.
Maybe some European guys.
Not one. Anyway, congrats to the Preds, and congrats to you, Chaser McCabe, for staying up till 2 in the morning.
Yeah, excited. I'll be doing it again tomorrow. It'll be even later, so that'll be fun. So looking forward to that.
And that's a game that is on our radio station here, ESPN. So are those games typically longer for more commercial breaks or –
Yeah, well, they start later, so maybe. But the cool thing is, since the technical pregame show starts at 8:30, Willie's going to join me from the booth, and we're going to do an extended pregame starting at 8. And then it sounds like Willie and Chris are going to join Max and Hal for a 3-man booth. They'll alternate spots and do a 3-man booth.
So Willie doing the pregame with you, huh?
Yeah.
Good luck getting a question in there. That's a long. That's Willie and I've had that joke for a long time. So
I know.
A little inside baseball.
Speaking of baseball, that's a good little segue there.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
woo! Here we go again.
This is the story. This is the. I'm trying to think of a funny analogy. This is the cockroach of Nashville. It won't go away. Just
ouch.
No, I mean, I think it's a good thing. It's group and the Music City Baseball, and they've been around and trying to put funding together, but now the actual word, expansion word, is being discussed with MLB, because they always said that they weren't going to expand until they figured out the A's and the Rays. Well, it looks like the Rays are going to get a new stadium in the Tampa area, and they're going to stay put. The A's are getting a new stadium in Vegas and moving there. So that, in their mind, has now been settled. And so a report comes out that baseball
right.
at expansion, and one of the cities that they're looking at is Nashville. Pass says an MLB expansion to 2 additional teams, one of which would be Nashville, wouldn't happen until the 2030s. So still time there, but it just, like I said, it won't go away.
It won't go away. And look, could you imagine if the Metro Council said, "Hey, we're going to allocate money for this baseball stadium"? I mean, people are up in arms over the football stadium. I just don't see this happening for at least 10 years. I don't see it anywhere coming close for 10 years in doing that. Now, will baseball expand? Absolutely, I think it will. But, well, are they going to wait 10, 12 years for Nashville? I don't know how this is going to work out. Is there corporate support? I mean, there's a lot of questions that get thrown out there besides, hey, we're getting an expansion baseball team. And make this real quick. I saw some chatter this morning on social media. The Nashville Sound Stadium is not built to expand. They will not expand that stadium.
Correct.
No way, no shape, form, or fashion. It's not built that way. And we've talked about this for a while. So you cannot play Major League Baseball at First Horizon if you plan on expanding it. You have to find another location. And who knows? I mean, people are like, well, I'm not going to drive to Sumner County or Williamson County. Yeah, you'll drive. If the Yankees come to town, you'll drive. So stop saying that. So
Sure you will.
Where do you put a stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do you get it out of Davidson County? Do you want it? I mean, ideally, right? You want it downtown?
Yeah, you want it downtown. But look, I'll use the phrase from Field of Dreams: if you build it, they will come. I mean,
They will come.
they
Right.
will.
Exactly.
People will go to the games. Here's the other part of this. So I agree with you. Nashville is, and it's like, if a group comes, yeah, hey, we want you to help us build the stadium, they're going to go, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, real good one. That's funny. Yeah, we're going to help you. No, they're not.
Right.
And we know that. But I think that what this Music City Baseball Group has been trying to do is find investors that they just put it all together, and then they buy the land and they build it themselves. And that's what's going to happen. Now the problem is when you look downtown, there's not a lot of land.
There's not.
So
you're right.
Unless I mean, ideally, putting one over where they're going, close to the new Titan Stadium would be awesome. But again, where? Is the metal plant finally going to sell and you put it there? If that happened, that would be a great spot.
Didn't somebody track him
but
down?
I don't see that happening.
Did somebody track the owner of the metal field, whatever, down, and he forgot he owned that property? I could have sworn I saw a story about that.
I don't know.
Because it's been passed down, handed over, bought out, passed down. And then, all right, so our question today for our great listeners, and you guys are fantastic every single day about this. So our question today is, give us the nickname of the new one day Nashville baseball team, but wrong answers only. Give us the worst possible nickname for the new one-day Major League Baseball team that comes to Nashville. 615-737-1025. Again, the worst possible nickname. Have fun with it. What the baseball team would be called.
Okay, 615-737-1025. We'll take those throughout the show. But, to me, and like we got a text on the text line that 2513 that says, building in the exploding town of Clarksville. I mean, would you drive to Clarksville to go to a baseball game?
No, I'm not driving to Clarksville to a baseball game. I mean, with traffic, that's an hour drive. Just to get up there now and imagine and put traffic up there. Look, I love Clarksville. I think the F&M Bank Arena is fantastic, but I'm just not driving up there for that.
Sure.
Dylan
says, look what happened in Nashville Super Speedway when they put it in Gladyville. Nobody came. Got to be downtown. Dylan, so you're halfway right and you're halfway wrong. It would have always worked. It would have worked the first time around had they brought the Cup Series. That was always the promise. They were going to put the Cup Series out there, and they didn't, and so it failed. When it came back with the Cup Series, it's been successful. So, again, it depends on what you're driving out there for. If you're going to build a minor league stadium in Clarksville, you're probably not going to drive out there from Nashville.
Right.
If you build an MLB stadium and they're playing the Braves or the Yankees, you're probably going to drive from Nashville. It's all about what's there.
Yes, and I'm going through my mind now thinking about areas where you could put a stadium in around Nashville that, I mean, the traffic is going to get worse. The infrastructure's terrible. There's no transit plan. So we're going to have to deal with it and live with it. So you put a stadium downtown, fine. What about, I mean, would you put one, there's all that space near the Speedway, you know, and there's, I don't know, I mean.
Sure.
Well, I mean, that's what, a 30-minute drive from Nashville to get out that way. And then you could get people, you know, 840 connects to Murfreesboro, 840 connects to, I mean, it's a drive. There's just no easy solution for this.
No, and I mean the ideal solution would be you find a spot downtown and or thereabouts, and you put it there, or you find one of the suburbs that are like, you know, old Nashville where everything was 15 minutes away, and, you know, you do it that way. But again, easier said than done. But it's a story that's just not going away. And maybe that's a good, I think it is a good thing. There's no maybe. And everybody that's like, oh, you know, we're too big. I don't want a baseball team. Well, this is what happens. I mean, this process started years and years and years ago, and all Nashville has done is grown. And you can't stop it now. It's a moving train. And so I would embrace it. As a sports fan, as somebody that works in sports radio, you add another team here, which would get us up to 4. The only team that would be missing would be the NBA, which is in our state. So then our state could say that it has everything. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's funny, Channel 5 is running a story right now about Major League Baseball could expand into Nashville, and they're the same thing about where to put the stadium. And I don't know. I mean, you got to find, you know, as far as logistics-wise, someplace well, there's no place easy in to get out of. And, you know, you look at what Kansas City does with Arrowhead and Kauffman Stadium right there. It's kind of neat, but it's, 20 minutes from downtown? Yeah. It's kind of out a little bit, like in a Brentwood area or Hendersonville. Plenty of parking, plenty of space. So, I don't know. This would be an interesting question. I just don't see it happen. I know you and Dr. Crane think it's going to happen within 10 years. I just don't. I don't see it happening. And I hate to be that way. I just don't see it happening.
Well, look, you're entitled to your opinion.
And you better honor it.
I know I do. And you better honor mine. So, our question of the day has blown up. So, we got to sift through these. But we'll read some of your answers.
All right.
We'll read some of your answers. 615-737-1025. Wrong answers only. What would be the name of the new Nashville MLB team? These should be pretty good. We will read these. Also, John McClain joining us at the bottom of the hour. Chasing Big Joe here on a Wednesday. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Here's two things about baseball which you like if you build the right stadium. The stadium is smaller, it's more intimate, and it's unique. Plus, I know the football stadiums across the river you can walk, but the baseball stadium in downtown, you take advantage of being in downtown. Remember, look at San Diego. It's a small park. It's in downtown. You like the baseball stadium. Not all of them are like that, but Minnesota's downtown, San Diego's downtown, San Francisco's kind of downtown. I'm trying to think. Baltimore is downtown. You want the stadium, 35,000 seats, small, and you want that thing in downtown. If you're telling me right now, Jared, that you don't think that Nashville is going to do that for a prospective owner thing, I'm not too sure if it's worthwhile. And then if you're telling me that even if baseball said, okay, fine, we'll build the facility, where can you give it to me downtown? And you say, fine, we don't have anything downtown. We'll give you land 25 miles away, but we have nothing downtown. Why would baseball be attracted to that? I wouldn't be if I was a commissioner to put a ball club 25 miles out of town. I wouldn't be attracted to that.
That was Christopher Mad Dog Russo with Jared at the Super Bowl talking about baseball in Nashville. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Our question of the day, wrong answers only. What would you name the Nashville MLB team if we were to get one after yet another report that baseball is interested in expansion? And Nashville has been mentioned once again. Joe, these are coming through pretty fast, and they're fantastic. So let's get to it. Donovan in Franklin says the Nashville Potholes. Leading us off.
All right.
That's a good one. Chris in Nashville, and they've had this before. The Vols, awful nickname. The old Nashville Vols.
That's right.
That was a thing.
Okay.
Nashville Collaborators.
Well done. Yeah, we want wrong answers only. These are good.
0688. Nashville Honkies.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chase, people need to know you put the honky in honky tonk.
I do.
So, well
5353, the Nashville Knickerbockers.
Okay.
That's an old school name.
That is.
Ben, the Nashville Bachelorettes.
Oh, my Lord. Could you imagine if that got passed? Like all the committee members were out and there's one guy that was drunk and put the stamp of approval on that? That's fantastic.
7032, Nashville Potholes again. Aaron in White House, another for Nashville Potholes. That seems to be a popular one.
And then you could the parking lot could have potholes, and you got to avoid them. And then what? I already told you baseball would be exciting if a pothole opened up in the outfield while somebody's going for a. I would watch that. If somebody could get swallowed by a pothole during a game, I'd watch it every time.
I can't keep up with these. Josh from White House said on where you could put a stadium, he said, I've been saying it for years. Tear down Rivergate Mall and build the stadium there. The mall is dead anyway.
You know what? When you drive by there, it looks like a big basketball arena because you'll see where Castronaut was and Kane Sloan. That's not a bad idea. You can get in and out with parking right there.
Yeah. Mark from Clarksville, the Davidson Ducks.
Come on, Mark.
Davidson, Nashville. Here we go. Josh from Columbia, the Nashville Hot Chickens.
That would work. Yeah.
Skeeter from Spring Hill, Nashville Pedal Taverns.
That's not a bad one.
Matt, Nashville Troubadours.
Troubadour, yeah. These you guys are actually these are actually kind of good. Like if you want to put the team together for something.
Yeah.
Like mine would be like Nashville, we're full, stay the hell away. And then you'd put that on the jerseys, get it sponsored by some bank, you make some money, and then and the stadium's called the Stay the Hell Away Stadium.
You should get like a California realtor to sponsor it. That's what you would do.
Yes.
8334, the old Starwood Amphitheater is a great place.
No, you got to
I don't know if it's that big enough.
It's not level. It's like uphill and everything. Plus, that's sacred ground for us.
Yeah. There's a lot of land on Briley Parkway around White Bridge Road. That's over here on the west side, yeah.
4415 says, how about Nashville transplants?
That's
it's only fitting, yes.
Yeah, we got another vote for that too. The Nash Vegas Outlaws.
Let's do that one as well.
Tennessee Hillbillies. a good one.
Why not embrace that, right? Everybody's like, oh, no, we're not. Look, the rest of the country thinks we're bumbling hillbillies anyway. Why not embrace it?
Yeah.
You know, there was a time, because you and I both grew up here, and so did Dr. Crane, that Nashville tried like hell to get away from country music.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too long ago, like in the 80s and early 90s. They tried like hell to get away from it. And finally, people's like, you know what? Let's embrace this because no other city in the world has this.
Right.
And they did, and this is what you got in Nashville now. Love it or leave it. It's what it is now.
Team Jason says the Dollies. Also, as someone who lives in Mount Juliet, I'd get season tickets if the team is downtown, but I wouldn't go more than a couple games per year if they're all the way in Williamson or Murfreesboro. He says Murfreesboro wouldn't be bad.
Okay, 4650. Patrick says, wrong name for the team. How about Nashville Opryland, USA? People would come out to see if it's Opryland out of curiosity. Only lived here for a few years while the park was around. I hear people talk about it all the time. There you go. So bring them out there, and then don't let them leave and make them buy season tickets. But would you have like a ride out there? Like what was the big ride? Like the Rock and Roller Coaster or one of those rides at Opryland, the Flume Zoom?
The Flume Zoom.
Yeah, have it out there and then get people, then you got them out there and they're stuck now. There's an amusement park and a baseball stadium.
1978, why not just put a stadium on Myatt Anderson Lane area next to the utility hubs where there's room and trying to revamp that area? Oh, and team name the Nashville Whatnots. The Conversate and Whatnot.
Oh, the Whatnots. Oh, my Lord.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's old school. It's not a word, people.
Dwight in Kentucky is, I guess, wanting to incorporate a corporate sponsorship. Twin Peaks / Hooters Mountaintops.
Whatever makes money. So now you got the crazy nicknames, and now you got a place to put the stadium. So, we got a long way to go here, man. There's a long way to go. There are spots you could figure out around our area where you could put a stadium. But, I mean, like that Mad Dog guy was talking about, I mean, you want it downtown, right? I mean, that's where everybody is. You get the tourists that come in there. But, I mean, where do you put it? Hell, Amazon bought up half of downtown anyway.
Trying to get through all of these. Nashville Night Bandits, Nashville Possum Stompers. Let's see. The Vanillas or the Prey.
These are just fly. All right, a few. Nashville Bless Your Hearts. Nashville Y'alls. I like
Nice.
that. God, that would drive people
That'd be
crazy. The Nashville Moonshines. We'll take that one.
Yep.
The Nash Cash Men in Black.
Okay.
We'll do that.
I saw the Nashville Never Gonna Happen. I love we got to always have that guy. Like, hey, this is a fun topic, but let me ruin it by telling you it's never going to happen.
Oh, I just want to buy out Nashville Shores, build a stadium with the lake as a backdrop. Josh from Columbia. Yes.
I actually like that. But we love Nashville Shores, but
well, there's plenty of land out there that the government owns. Build it with the backdrop out there. Look, wherever you're going to go, parking-wise is going to be awful. We know this.
Sure.
Going in, so just figure that on the front end and put it with some scenic location where we can have a good time.
Nashville Sugar Gliders, Nashville Traffic Jams.
What's the Sugar Glider? Is that
I don't know.
little spider monkey thing? Is that right?
All I know are sugar cubes, Joe. I don't know.
The Nashville Catfish, affectionately known as Bottom Feeders.
4415. Thank you. The Nashville Panhandlers.
Nice.
Yeah, my goodness.
Tom in Nashville's been listening. Nashville Soylent Green.
Oh, and then have everybody the crowd go, it's people.
Julio, the Nashville Bart Durhams.
He can afford it, right?
The Nashville Rednecks. That's a good one. Nashville Cannabis.
What's the episode of The Simpsons? Was it when Homer gets a job at Capital City?
Oh, yeah, these Dancing Homer.
Yeah, that's right. And then they make fun of him, and they say these hijinks may work in the country, but this
is the major league.
Yeah, this is Capital City.
Yeah, I remember that. Nashville Limes, Damn Scooters. Nashville Sweet Tea. Nashville Meat and Threes.
Oh, man. And
the Nashville White Boots or the Nashville Californians.
Oh, yes. The white boots. God, you see them a mile away coming.
And then
Here
the
they
next
come.
the next one says the Nashville Natives, an exclusive club, no Californians allowed.
Hey, was it the I was thinking of something you could do. You know, you bring the relief pitcher in from the outfield on a pedal tavern, right?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't the Preds do that and they got booed?
Oh, yeah. Well, what's funny is then they embrace that everybody hated it, and they've basically made fun of themselves.
Yes, love it. So that's it. So you bring in your relief pitcher. It's going to be on a pedal tavern with 12 screaming bachelorettes, and then they could pull that. Look, we got it working here. If they want to get these good marketing ideas, they could come to Chase and Big Joe show.
The baseball stadium past where Sam's Club used to be on the right, going up the hill. If you're talking about on Old Hickory Bowl, yeah, he's talking about on Old Hickory. There's no room up there because they've built apartments and condos and everything. I mean, that is full. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you
Out here on the
live
west
right
side?
there.
Yeah, I mean, like I drove up there recently because they closed the Sonic, and I was like, okay, let's go see what's up here. And I'm like, holy hell! like they tore the Sam's down and built houses and townhouses and apartments and all that stuff.
But you also got to make it, you know, if this does happen, you got to be creative. Have the relief pitcher, if not pedal tavern, have him zip line in.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Just something. Be creative with that. But you
Nashville
guys,
Rhinestones.
that's good. Yeah. Which, by the way, is the worst movie about Nashville ever made with Dolly Parton and Stallone. Keep them coming. 615-737-1025. Again, wrong answers only. The new Nashville baseball team nickname. We want to hear from you guys.
We will continue to get into those. But coming up next, our weekly chat with the great John McClain. Talk some NFL with him here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, presented by Regal Realty Group, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, broadcasting live from the Spring Hill Heating and Cooling Game Nashville studios, keeping your home feeling comfortable all year round. Before we get to John McClain, I understand Blair Durham called in and said, no, they can't afford a baseball team, and nor would they want one. Want to own one.
Blair, we love you. Thanks for listening.
Awesome. We'll send you a bill for that free advertising.
We will, yeah. And then when you do own the team, Chase and I will run the front office operations for you.
Yes.
So you guys can enjoy the game. So thank you, Mr. Durham. We appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely. Let's say hello to our man John McClain down in Houston. John, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. As a diehard baseball fan since I was a kid who I read, listen to, and watch everything I can about baseball. And I've been curious about baseball expansion ever since Dave Dombrowski was hired there. Now he's gone, of course. But everything I've read and heard is Nashville will be the first city to get an expansion team when they expand. And one reason is because the way the area has grown. Number two is because of the can-do attitude, beginning with, of course, the Titans and then the Preds. And eventually, I don't know when, but as the city continues to grow, wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, this might be 15, 20 years that Nashville will get an NBA team if it wanted it. And because the city has been so good at building public arenas, venues, the Titans' new stadium, I know a lot of work went on behind the scenes to get that done by a lot of people. Did a great job on both sides, but it was the quietest thing I've ever seen about a team getting a stadium. And that's a credit to everybody involved, whether they're with the Titans or the local government, county, city. And so there's no doubt in my mind, you guys are going to get a baseball team. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
I'd be curious of your thoughts on this, since you've seen both there in Houston. If and obviously it'd be a little different because it would be expansion, but what do you think, if it happened, would American League or National League be better? Because obviously if it's American League, you're going to draw the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Astros, and big fan bases. National League, you could create a rivalry with the Braves by potentially being in the same division, albeit you could do interleague every year. But is there a preference, and did you see a difference in the fan base when it went from National League to American League there with the Stros?
A lot of people didn't like the switch because they'd been National League since their inception in 1962 as the Colt 45s. And I'll never forget the first game. I ran this by their owner one time, Drayton McClain, when we were spring training. And I knew Drayton. He's a big got his name on the Baylor football stadium. And he asked me, why is it that a football guy knows so much about my team? And I said, well, I've been listening to your team since first game in 1962. And I said, I bet you can't tell me who the Colt 45s beat, who the winning pitcher was, and who had 2 home runs. And he said, no, we were at his new office. He was showing me at spring training. And he said, but I bet you can tell me. I said, yep, they beat the Cubs. Bobby Shantz, a little left-handed pitcher, got the win. Ramon Mejias hit 2 home runs. And I said, you should know that. You grew up in Cameron, which is close to Waco. You could have been listening to the Colt 45s and Astros every summer night like I did. He said, wow. While you were sitting around listening to Astros, I was delivering groceries for my daddy, which helped me buy this team. And I said, in other words, you're becoming a billionaire while I was making minimum wage mowing yards. He said, yes. And I thought that was interesting because by the time that they expand in baseball, yesterday, I read a thing that said it could be the 30s, which really is not that far away when you think about it and everything you got to get together. But nobody liked the American League because they had to start going to the West Coast. And those are long trips out there. But they used to go to San Francisco and they used to go to the L.A., but now they're in the same division with Seattle and the Angels, and they don't like that. But they also get to have the rivalry with the Rangers, which is what I hope the rivalry between the Texans and the Titans becomes someday, because they hate each other. And that's kind of what happens when you go play to go to the World Series and you're both good every year. So my recommendation would be the National League because of natural rivalry with the Braves. And problem is there's so many Braves fans there.
Oh, the Braves would hate this. The Braves would absolutely hate
hard
this.
To convert them. And but I think National League would be the best.
John, I was looking up as far as expansion. Houston is mentioned quite a bit in the NHL. Could Houston support an NHL team?
If Dallas supports 4 teams and Phoenix and Denver, we're bigger than all those 3 cities combined. Yes, I covered hockey when I came to Houston. Gordie Howe and his sons Mark and Marty, and they sold out every game while the Rockets were so desperate. They were playing home games at Waco and San Antonio. And then those Arrows, 50-year anniversary of those Arrows, which is getting a lot of attention now, but they were winners. They won 2 championships, lost in the finals 2 more times. And when you got Mr. Hockey, and that was such a huge story, Gordie Howe coming out of retirement with the Red Wings at 44, now that's not that big of a deal if you're playing into your 40s, but it was unheard of back then. And he playing with his sons, which was unheard of. It was a great story. And I always tell people, learning hockey from Gordie Howe was like learning the Bible from Jesus. And I would never trade those 2 seasons of covering those original Houston Arrows. The problem here is they made attempts. Bob McNair made attempts. Bob McNair at one point when the Predators were being sold for the last time, I asked McNair, you got any ideas of buying the Predators and moving them to Houston like they moved the Oilers to Nashville? And he said, no, I'm here, and they're going to get a new local ownership. I can't remember when that was. And so they tried, but right now it's a long way away because you don't see franchises moving anymore, which they don't want to expand. I don't think any time in the NHL it's hard enough to get good players for all the teams they have now. But the ideal expansion franchise was Las Vegas to get as good as they did so fast. That helps create interest and not when you're chugging along as one of the worst teams in the league for multiple years.
Hey, John, when the Oilers moved from Houston to Nashville, if I remember this correctly, did Bud Adams lose a vote on the owners committee or something?
No, I don't remember that he lost a vote when he moved the team because he still owned the team.
Well, it lost something. He couldn't be on a committee or something.
Well, it might have been that he couldn't have been on a couple of committees he was on, like the finance or expansion. I don't remember. But he didn't lose his vote as an owner. There were still, he got a vote like everybody else on league matters.
Oh, okay. And the other part of that question is, what did the NFL learn from battling Al Davis all those years about moving from Oakland to Los Angeles back to Oakland? How many untold millions were spent, John, on legal fees on that battle for so many years?
Well, that was because Al Davis and Pete Rozelle hated each other, and it was because Davis was commissioner of the American Football League when they had the merger, and he thought he would get to be the commissioner of the merged leagues, and the merger was in 1970. But they kept Pete Rozelle, which they should have because he's one of the greatest commissioners in the history of any sport, and Davis and he clashed constantly over signing players. Rozelle was general manager of the Rams, and the American Football League was trying to steal his players, sign players. Bud pulled a fast one and signed Heisman Trophy winner Billy Cannon over the Rams. And Bud did that by getting Billy Cannon to come to Houston before his senior season. Now, I know this is true because Bud told me, and nobody else knows this, although I think I've told it enough. Bud got Billy Cannon, who was one of the best players in the country. The AFL wanted him desperately. And so he came to Bud's house. Bud and Nancy took him to dinner. Nancy just gotten a brand new white Cadillac convertible. And they took Billy Cannon to this famous restaurant here, Sonny Looks. They take him back home. Nancy disappears in the house. And so Bud pulls out a contract out of a drawer and said, whatever Rozell's offering you with the Rams, I'll offer you 4 times as much. You just got to sign right here. And this was going on like crazy, signing players before their eligibility was up, And so Billy Cannon looked at that white Cadillac convertible and told Bud that my dad has been so poor, if you could let me have that white Cadillac convertible to drive back to Louisiana, I'll sign it. But nobody can know it. Bud said, of course. He signed right there. He got the keys, gave it to him, and he left. Nancy comes in there and says, Bud, did you put my car in the garage? Well, no, not exactly. Well, what'd you do with it? And what happened to that nice young man who was here? And he said, that nice young man drove your Cadillac back to Louisiana to give to his father. And she said, well, Bud Adams, you get me another one on Monday. So he did. And they went out to celebrate at the same Sunny Looks restaurant. And they were in the restaurant celebrating. And they'd driven brand new white Cadillac convertible. And the owner, Sonny Look, comes into the dining room and says, whoever's driving the white Cadillac convertible in the parking lot, it's on fire. So everybody ran outside. Bud, I guess Nancy, they smoked, one of them thumped their cigarette, and it blew back into the back. And as it burned, Nancy said to Bud, he said, I know, I'll get you another one tomorrow. So they had 3 in a short period of time.
Wow.
And after the Sugar Bowl, a big deal was made with Billy Cannon signing with Oilers. And it was a great picture. The photographer was on the ground looking up at Cannon under the goalpost with a cloudy sky. It was beautiful. I think it was after the Sugar Bowl. And so that's how Billy Cannon ended up coming to Houston.
That is a fantastic
Is
story.
it not?
That is awesome. I don't think I've ever heard that one before.
Man.
We'll have more with John McClain coming up next. Can't miss radio for sure here on the Chasing Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. All right, we've been talking about ESPN Bet for a while now. The official sportsbook of ESPN, and yours truly, is live in Tennessee. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. So sign up today, and new users, check this out. This is awesome. We'll get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bets. So go find a basketball game or a hockey game or whatever. Baseball is coming up. Make a wager, and you'll get that $100 in bonus bets. They got everything. In-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and, of course, my favorite, all the props that you can handle. ESPN Bet, download today. What a play. You must be 21 years or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, continuing our conversation with the great John McClain from Houston. And that I'm still just reveling over the Billy Cannon story. That's a fantastic one. 3 white Cadillacs, John. That's just unbelievable.
Cadillac convertibles.
Or Cadillac convertibles, which I know were the hot thing back then. So,
by the way, can I weigh in on the nickname?
Yes.
The
yes.
bad. Well, I got a nickname that certainly nobody would want for the baseball team to have, the Nashville Oilers. And anything involving cats with a C or a K, or the Nats, Gnats, because they've got the Nationals. Actually, I love the Oilers name. I'd love to see them do it, but of course, they would never do that.
Well, speaking of that, I know the Texans are going to be unveiling new uniforms, and the rumor is that the Columbia Blue it can't be the primary, but it's going to work its way in there somehow. Have you heard anything more about that?
Well, I have seen the workups, and they're going to unveil them at the draft, and their still primary colors are going to be what they've been, red, white, and blue. That's what Bob McNair wanted because he felt strongly about the shade of colors they have. But if the uniforms are going to be totally different, and I will say this, they may work in another couple of colors.
There you go. Question on our text line for you. Who were the 2 teams that voted against the Rams moving to L.A.?
Oh, boy, I can't remember. That's so long ago. I have no idea. Probably Cincinnati. Mike Brown voted no on everything that happened in the NFL. And the other one, I don't remember. I'm sure it was Al Davis was one because the Raiders have so many fans in L.A. A lot of people thought that the Raiders should have been the team to move to L.A. to share the stadium with the Rams and instead of the Chargers, and let the Chargers go to Vegas. But the Rams, knowing that the Raiders had a huge fan base there that had remained loyal and is still loyal, and a lot of those fans that come to Vegas come from L.A. and not just the Oakland, not just the Bay Area. But I guarantee Al Davis was the other one.
John, how close did the Oilers go to moving to Memphis in the late 80s, and after that, Jacksonville? Was it, because I've heard like it was really close, and others have said wasn't that close at all. You would know.
They never. But in Jacksonville, which was desperate for a team, any team, the Oilers had played an exhibition game there, as they also played in Memphis. And Jacksonville was ready to do anything they wanted. And what they wanted, it was an expansion of the Astrodome. And critics who didn't like the fact it took out their big scoreboard, but said, well, Bud got 10,000 seats. No, he got 7,500. And the beneficiary financially, more than the Oilers, was the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. When they're here for 2 weeks in March, they bring in more money and sell more tickets than the Oilers could if they sold out every single game. And the rodeo's like the 800-pound gorilla here. It sits wherever it wants, and they stayed out of it and let Bud get all the criticism from fans and media. And then once everybody go in and saw the capacity had been increased and they could live without the exploding scoreboard from foul pole to foul pole, people liked it. But they actually went to Jacksonville and made trips there, and then the city and the county gave Bud what he wanted, and the rodeo as well. It's just everybody loved the rodeo. And at that point, people were so mad at Bud because they'd been losing. Well, when they expanded it, and it started, they made the playoffs 7 years in a row, and they sold out all those seats. So then people were happy that it had been done.
Nice. John, somebody wants to ask you, could Salt Lake City support an NFL franchise if they expanded within the United States?
No, I don't think that Salt Lake has ever been mentioned as an expansion franchise. In fact, I haven't even heard. There's a lot of cities. Every city would do anything it could to get an expansion franchise. But I think when the NFL expands, and might be 20 years, it's going to be in Europe. they want to put 2 teams in London like they put 2 in L.A. And then if they went into Canada, Toronto would be first on the list. And if they went south, it would be Mexico City. But I think if they expanded 2 teams, it's going to be in London, and it would be sometime in the 30s.
John, real quick, we're in list season now with the NFL and, best fits for free agents. And ESPN had Saquon Barkley as being a really good fit for the Texans in that offense and another weapon for C.J. Stroud. I guess anything's likely, anything's possible at this point, but how big would it be if they landed Saquon Barkley?
Well, they're not. It's a moot point. It's I love watching fans and national media talk about all these guys that could be going here and there. Fans here have the Texans signing Saquon Barkley, Chris Jones, and Mike Evans, and of course none of them are coming here. But it makes for good talk show fodder. But Barkley, no, they're not going to spend money on a running back in a zone scheme. You can get one without, but that is what they need to improve. And I think if I'm Derrick Henry, I'm calling Andy Reid about coming to Kansas City and let Andy dictate the contract, and then it probably ends up at Baltimore. He just seems like such a natural for a team that uses different running backs, which would preserve him. It also leads the league in rushing.
John, great stuff as always. Love these conversations with you, and we'll talk next week.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. John McClain from Houston joining us here on the program. A little baseball, a little hockey, a little football, a little bit of everything.
I mean, that Cadillac story is simply fantastic.
That's a great one.
He took his wife's Cadillac and gave it to Billy Cannon. I mean, how do you just top that? That's wonderful.
That is a great one. We'll get back to our question of the day. Plus, there's an interesting question on the text line in regards to Nashville and Houston that I kind of want to get into. We'll do that next and much more. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. He's Big Joe. I'm Chase McCabe. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier, hanging out as he always does. Great stuff with John McClain, who joins us every Wednesday at 9:30. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Greg Wyshynski from ESPN usually joins us on Thursday, but we're actually going to have Predators assistant coach Dan Heinote tomorrow, and so Greg was nice enough to move to today. Predators get the big win last night, 5-3 against the defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. Game number 2 of a 5-game road trip where they have scored 10 goals in 2 games and won back-to-back games. So we'll talk more about the Preds a little bit later.
What's the assistant coach's name?
Dan Heinote.
Like high note, like sing high note, like
yes.
What a great name for a coach in Nashville.
Oh, he's
That's
awesome.
almost as good as Vern Fiddler.
Yeah.
Being here. What a great name.
Danny Heinote. Awesome.
Now I'm ready for my stupid questions tomorrow for him, so get ready for that.
Well, good. I hope they live up to the expectations that I've come to.
They usually
expect.
don't, so we're looking forward to that.
There was a text on the text line that you responded to, but I thought it was interesting. Chip from Mount Juliet. Why can't the Titans and Texans play game 1 of an annual series? Winner gets to wear Oilers blue for the second game. What a great tradition that could provide. And I the thought process, I love the thought. It sounds fun. But if I'm Amy Adams Strunk, there is no way in hell I would ever do that, because you can make too much money with the oil derrick and the Love You Blue and all those things that she owns. And whether you like it or you don't like it, she owns it. That's hers.
Yeah,
that is
that's right.
Bud Adams changed the name of the team because everybody in this city was like, hey, we kind of want our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he finally gave in and he did it. He'd never intended on doing that. It was always the Oilers. And they changed to the Titans with the new stadium because the city of Nashville wanted their own tradition. But he held on to that, and she resurrected it, and now there's all this throwback merchandise. I mean, look, I bought it right away. Like I got the jersey, I got hats, and I love the look, and that's, money in the Adams family pocket.
Right, and I think Texans fans have such disdain for the Titans and the throwbacks and all that, and when they beat them, they loved it, and all that went on. My response to Chip was, look, these players, I mean, it's like, hey, whoever wins gets to keep the uniforms. These players don't care. Jeffrey Simmons does not care that if he beats the Texans, he gets to wear the Columbia or the Oiler blue next game. Right. They don't care. The only thing that motivates these athletes is what? Money. That's it. If you get an extra $5,000 because you're going to beat these guys will play their tails off. They don't care. We care about the uniforms, but these players don't care about the uniforms.
Yeah.
They don't.
I agree. So our question of the day, I just wanted to get on that for a minute.
Buddy.
Our question of the day is, with the Nashville baseball team just coming up again, expansion, it may not be until the 30s, which is so weird to say, the 30s, but what would wrong answers only, the nickname of the Nashville baseball team? And these flooded through earlier. These were hilarious. John, our buddy from Small Time Rockstar, says it may be too late. It's not too late. But how about the Nashville Songwriters, or even shortened to Song? You could use the phrase, I smell a hit here, when one of the big guns is coming up to bat. That phrase was so constantly overused by newbie writers in songwriting sessions that it kind of became a joke after a song was written for somebody to say it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's good.
I can smell a hit here. And have The Rock. Have The Rock come out on the Jumbotron and say, you smell a hit here, or whatever his little saying was back in the day. And then, that's a good one, yeah. I guess the potholes, bachelorette parties,
hot chicken,
the woohoos, and the hot chickens. Our buddy Big Orange Heupel on Twitter said that instead of the 7th inning stretch, you just bring out a parade of pedal taverns around the field, and people just scream and go crazy right there. I mean, there's a lot of fun with this. Could you imagine if that ever happened?
The Nashville version of the Clydesdales, except they're pedal taverns.
Yeah, Dr. Crane.
That'd be good. And then just have maybe the Honky Tonk Man come out and do his theme song. That'd be great.
Dr. Crane, I could see you piloting a pedal tavern. in the back.
I would be so much fun. I have whistles. I would have the wristbands of different colors. It'd just be flapping around. Have everybody having a good time.
I want to see a pedal tavern with like a Marine Corps drill instructor. Because half the people don't pedal, and have him just sit there and scream at them the entire time. First of all, they'll get off the tavern. Secondly, they'll never come back to our city again. So it's a win-win for all of us.
Graham says, back at MTSU, we pitched ideas in my sports class of a new borough team being called the Murfreesboro Trash Pandas. There is a Trash Pandas minor league team.
Is it Huntsville?
Somewhere in Georgia, I believe. I could be
No,
wrong.
I think is it Huntsville? I think it is Huntsville.
It might be Huntsville. I think it is Huntsville. Is it?
It is in Alabama. We can confirm. Rocket City Trash Pandas.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Huntsville.
Yeah, that's Huntsville.
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
What's a trash panda? I'm too lazy to Google.
I believe it's a raccoon, but in panda form.
You just pulled that out of
Yep, out of my back pocket. Yes, indeed.
it's somewhere back there.
But I'm telling you right now, off subject, I'd love to have a panda because look, they're fat, they're lazy, they're sarcastic, they're funny, they sleep all. It's like a giant cat, and they don't care if you're. I mean, that's this, and you just feed them bamboo. Yeah. How much fun would it be to have a panda hang out in our studio every day? It'd be the best.
By the way, if I come back as something after I die, I am 100% coming back as a house cat.
Absolutely.
Like, there is no question in my mind. Like, they can act like they love you when they're hungry and then be pissed off the rest of the time. You just leave them alone and they just sleep, and it's like
right. Oh. Like you and me, we send Instagram reels of cats terrorizing dogs all the time. They're the best. They're the absolute best because dogs are so terrified of cats, and I don't know why.
Well, and dogs are all like, love me, love me, love me, and the cat's like, shut the bleep up.
Cat's like, you're home again. That was the funny thing during the COVID or by remote. The dogs were like, yay, you're home. And the cats are like, good Lord, get out of here. Stay away. Don't come back. Come back to feed me and let me rub on you for a second and then beat it. And that's the job of a cat. But you're right, though, man.
It's funny. As we've had this conversation, it pops up on my phone, an ESPN notification, MLB expansion, potential cities, top locations to land teams. And obviously Nashville is one of those.
Ooh, Bill Gates is listening to you. Or
I guess.
Zuckerberg, like whoever they are.
Let's see. 1311 says Nashville Apartments brought to you by Amazon.
Man, they've taken over downtown Nashville. But hey.
Well, I mean, couldn't what's his name be one of the investors then?
Bezos? What's his name?
Sorry,
yeah, you're right. He could. I mean, he could sit there and plop down. Here's $3 billion for a stadium, and here you go.
Like let's just who are the billionaires we know around here? I mean, Bezos has moved a lot of Amazon stuff here. Nissan's here, so maybe they invest.
They've already got
John
the stadium,
Ingram, obviously. Well, yeah, I mean, but find a spot for the stadium,
but no, you need individual. You need an individual, not a company. You need an individual billionaire who could do that.
Sure, but I mean,
Jeff Bezos, Chase, could walk around
to spend somebody else's money. I'm just throwing out names.
Bezos could walk around with the wallet with $100 million and lose it and not miss a beat. Me, I think I've got like $7 in my wallet. I'd be frantic.
Yeah.
So to have that kind of money, first off, is just mind-boggling. But to come in and say, all right, I want a baseball team. Here's $3 billion. I'll pay for the stadium. I mean, then people would be like, yay, let's do this. But, that would solve every problem in the world. But they're not going to. I mean, where's the money going to come from? The location. All these. It's great to have a baseball team and talk about it, but where are you going to put it? How are you going to pay for it? And everything else that goes along with it.
But here's the thing. Again, there are people in this world that could pay for it. But you got to think about, all right, what am I paying for? So you got to be filthy stupid rich to do this because, all right, let's start with the land for the stadium. All right, you got to go find a piece of land, and there are pieces of land. Everybody that's saying like, oh, well, there's nowhere to put it. There are. You're going to have to overpay for the piece of land. So you go find the land and go to the owner, whether it's the city or somebody else, and go, hey, I want to buy this piece of land for a baseball stadium. Great. Here's how much it's worth, but I want triple that. All right. So you overpay for a piece of land. Well, then you got to build a stadium. Even though baseball stadiums are getting a little smaller, you need suites and all this stuff, so that's not cheap. You're looking at, close to $1 billion, maybe under $1 billion for a baseball stadium, but close, just to build the stadium. So you're probably over $1 billion with the land and now building the stadium. Well, then you got to go to baseball and say, hey, I'm going to be an owner. I got the stadium. I got the land. I want to expand or get an expansion franchise. Cool. Here's your check for the expansion fee, which is going to be ridiculous too. So you do have to find that guy or girl that has a ton of, FU money that they can afford to cut the check.
I agree with you. 4650 says, my question, why would anyone want to buy a pro sports team? All the problems and the egos, I'll pass. Patrick, I agree with you 100%. I would not want to own a sports team at all. You look at headaches and problems. I don't know. I just don't know why the allure of owning a sports team. Yeah, because you get a Super Bowl trophy, fantastic, and I don't know. I wouldn't do it, and I'd probably rather own an F1 team. That'd be more fun, I think.
Mike's one of those. Personally, I don't want it in Nashville. He just doesn't want a team here. Why? I respect your opinion, Mike, but why? Why would you not? Like, do you live in downtown Nashville? If that's the case, then I can understand why. But if you don't, then what does it matter if it's there or not?
You had a point earlier. No way the Braves or the Reds or the Cardinals go for this. They're just
absolutely not. Cardinals have the Memphis Redbirds, the Johnson City Cardinals. I don't know if they're still available in Tennessee.
But the Cardinal, look, no offense, but the Cardinals and Reds, I'm sure they wouldn't love it, but it is what it is. The Braves will be the one to fight it because where that stadium is now, the Braves moved out of downtown. They moved into Cobb County. Well, guess what's closer to Nashville? Cobb County. It's an easy drive to go down 24 and then through Chattanooga and down 75 and boom, you're there in 3 hours max. So the Braves get a ton of tickets from Nashville and from Chattanooga and, from the state of Tennessee. So if all of a sudden Nashville gets a team, that's a franchise that's not going to like it very much. Because we know what kind of a sports town Atlanta is. Atlanta's a fickle sports town anyway.
It is. I know John McClain weighed in about Salt Lake City, but look, there's a lot of passionate sports fans in that area. I think they would support a baseball team. Maybe not a football, but I think a baseball team. There's no other pro sports team around that area. I think it would do fine. And I said for years, football team, I think Birmingham would support an NFL team. It'll never, ever, 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 ever happen because they love football so much there. But, I think the Braves would fight a Major League Baseball, and rightfully I would. If you're the Braves, Chase, don't you fight that too?
Sure. And then I just got asked, would I change my allegiances? I'll answer that. Let's continue this. A lot of you want to talk about this. Baseball in Nashville, and also our question of the day, wrong answers only, the name of a Major League team in Nashville. We'll do that next. And Greg Wyshynski at the bottom of the hour. It's Chase and Big Joe presented by Regal Realty Group. Regal Realty Group. Tune into 94.9 The Fan. Today is Vandy Baseball takes on Eastern Kentucky at Hawkins Field with pregame at 4:15. First pitch at 4:30. Coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and on 949thefan.com.
Do you think if we gave them the land that they would want to build their own stadium downtown?
I think that would be. I think they would. They would consider that.
Okay.
If you gave them the land and it's in downtown Nashville, where they can capitalize on the atmosphere, the environment, and build one of these picturesque 35,000-seat ballparks that's got all the ambiance that you want, and you said, here's the land, you build it, I'm assuming that baseball would consider that. I don't know if baseball wants to be 30 miles out of town. That would be my take. I don't know anything. That would be my take. But you gave me some information that I'll take back to the baseball people and see what they say.
Christopher Mad Dog Russo from Mad Dog on SiriusXM with Jared Stillman at the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago, discussing baseball here in Nashville. Chase and Big Joe broadcasting from the Spring Hill Heating and Cooling Game Nashville studios, keeping your home feeling comfortable all year round. And a flurry of texts coming in on this. Obviously, our question of the day, wrong names only for the Major League Baseball team. But, where do you put the stadium? Who owns the team? All those things. Mike's concern is he doesn't want a stadium in Nashville because of all the traffic. And, my thing is, Mike, I love that. Like, I love the counterpoint here. Traffic's bad anyway. So, I mean, it's not really I don't think it's going to make a difference, one way or the other. A few have asked, okay, again, it keeps coming up. You can't use the Sound Stadium. It cannot be retrofitted to a Major League Stadium.
Yeah, please, let's stop with that.
There's not enough room around there. Like, I feel like people asking that have not been down to Germantown in a while. Like, there's no room. There's not. They have boxed that stadium in. It's an awesome atmosphere around First Horizon Park now. It's a cool area. And, 15 years ago, you didn't go down there. That was a place you didn't go to. Now it's an awesome area. You cannot retrofit it to be a Major League Stadium. So just let's put that aside. And then, Jason asked, what happens to the Sounds if Major League Baseball comes? That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That would be something that would have to be figured out at some point. I'm just spitballing here, but you mentioned Clarksville. As Clarksville continues to grow, do you move the AAA team to Clarksville? Maybe. I don't know. But that's, Atlanta, all their farm clubs are in surrounding areas of Atlanta. Our buddy Wes in Hermitage. Good morning, fellas. Nice baseball talk again here in Nashville. The most interesting thing in this entire conversation is that I have learned I've been saying Jeff Bezos' name wrong. I always say Bezos. Is it actually Bezos? I'm going to be honest, I have no idea.
I know it's billionaire. I do know how to say that.
He goes, but yeah, MLB won't be here until 2030, so I feel it's pointless to talk about in 2024. I would love for it to happen, but I just don't expect anything in the near future. Well, here's the thing.
It's a good point,
Wes. I mean, look, it's a great point. It keeps coming up, though.
But
we're not the ones bringing it up.
But it only comes up, I looked this up, in February and March. It's not talked about June, July, August. It's certainly not talked about when football starts because that's on the back burner. It started, and notice how it came up after the Super Bowl.
Sure.
So it's a little dead period now.
It's baseball season.
Yeah. So it comes up now. Everybody fired up. I'm telling you right now, you're from here. I'm from here. Dr. Crane's from here. I know a lot of new people have moved in here. A lot of new companies. It ain't happening for a long time. And I'm telling you, at least 10 years. At least.
They've said 2030. I would not be shocked if there's a team by 2030, which is 6 years. I would not be shocked.
Okay.
I'm with Chase on this. I think it's inside of 10 years.
Look, again,
I'll
Joe,
come back from the grave and I will shock you. Well, I won't be here.
You'll be alive, Joe.
Hey, 6 years. You better be here in 6 years. Here's the deal. It won't go away. I would have agreed with you, 2 or 3 years ago when it's like it gets thrown out there and there's this Music City Baseball group that they put everybody together and it's like, oh, that's nice. It's not going to happen. They haven't gone away. The talk doesn't go away. It keeps coming up. Yes, you're right. This time of year, baseball. But if you got Jeff Passan talking about it and the commissioner talking about it, like that to me is more than just a pipe dream. That to me is, it's actually being considered. There are obviously questions that have to be answered, but the fact that that conversation just won't go away means that I think it has some legs. So you say 10 years, you may be right. I say at least 6. But I do think it's eventually going to happen. And anybody that says no, I don't think you're paying attention. So that's just my take on it. Another name, the Nashville Orange Sox.
Nice.
1418 says, no MLB team here until a salary cap exists. A team here could never compete against a team who pays one player $700 million. That's a good point. That is a very good point.
You're right. I mean, that is a lot of money to be dishing out. And then I just, I think the days are gone of the 50, 60,000 gigantic stadium. If you build one that's
35,000 is all you need.
All right, let me ask you this. I Googled largest TV markets without a baseball team. First one that pops up, Indianapolis.
And they're what? Are they 10? Are they top 10?
No. They're top 20.
But top 20? Yeah.
I mean, they've got the Pacers and they've got the Colts.
Yep.
So there are two that look in there.
They're like Indianapolis to me is kind of like a big small city or a small big city.
Now,
the best way to look
a city that I think gets a team before Nashville does, Charlotte. I think Charlotte, North Carolina gets a Major League Baseball team before.
I disagree. Okay. All right, here's where I'll meet you halfway. I think only as a consolation prize. I think if they run into too many roadblocks and they realize that they can't get here when they want to, they'll give Charlotte a team.
Could be, but you got that whole – I mean, you'll have the whole state, and you're far enough away from everybody else to do that. A couple more real quick. Portland, Oregon, you will never get a Major League Baseball team.
No.
So you're too far away, and they don't want a team up there in the West Coast like that, Pacific Northwest, where games are starting at 10 o'clock. It's bad enough one does that up in Seattle and the California teams, but this will never happen. Sacramento ain't going to happen there.
Nope.
We'll scroll down that and see if we got one more left here. And this will not happen. Orlando, Florida will never get a Major League Baseball team.
Too close to Tampa.
You got it, man.
Yep. Nope. Terry in Clarksville. Chase, call it the Nashville Swifties. Taylor is the owner, and Travis is the president of baseball operations.
What a disaster that would be.
That would be fantastic. Justin, the Nashville Nuts. We could have chants like "Let's go nuts," and everyone in the stands could go crazy.
Logan's Roadhouse in left field.
Yeah,
with all the nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. The Nashville Potholes gets another one. If Nashville is serious about MLB, the best place to build would be where Nissan Stadium currently is. I don't think there's enough room over there for both. That would be great. I mean, a lot of cities do. You mentioned Kansas City and what they have, next to each other. Cincinnati. Now there's kind of a gap in between the baseball and the football stadiums, but they're right there together. But you're right. I don't know if there would be room. We'll get into some hockey coming up next. Predators with a big win last night. Greg Wyshynski from ESPN joins us on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. 712-510-63, The Game, usually on Thursdays at 9:30. We talked to our man Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, but he was nice enough to move around this week to today. Greg, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. It's fun to hop on after a real good game for the Preds last night, eh?
Yeah, so I was on pre and post duty, so I got to stay up late with the Predators and watch that one. 10 goals in their last 2 games. Barry Trotz drops the hammer, cancels the early Vegas trip and the U2 concert, and look at that, 10 goals in the last 2 games. I guess the message received.
Well, he works in mysterious ways, I suppose you could say. But no, listen, you got to put the hammer down sometimes. You got to get their attention sometimes. Obviously, we all want to go to the Sphere. We all want to see what it looks like. We all want to see U2. But it doesn't always work out. And look, I mean, it's hard to argue. He definitely got their attention, and pulling off a win in Vegas is not something a lot of teams do. So kudos to you take the guy out of coaching, but you can't take the coaching out of the guy, I guess you could say about Barry.
Yeah, and the good part, at least for last night, is that, obviously you want to see the Forsbergs and Ryan O'Reillys and Yossi's be a part of things, and Yossi had a 2-point night with assists, but it's that secondary scoring that Trotz and Brunette have been trying to find with this team, and you got it. Novak has been on fire as of late for this team. Evangelista starting to find his confidence. How important is that if they try and make this run to the playoffs, that you have those young guys contribute with secondary scoring?
Well, it's essential. I mean, obviously, this team has tried to become more of an offensive team, under Andrew Brunette, and you need everybody kind of pulling on the rope in the same direction. The guy I was impressed with last night was Cody Glass. My God, that shot that he put past Aiden Hill last night. Do that more. Where is that more often? So, again, like you said, wins are always great, but sometimes the way you win can end up being encouraging and maybe launch you a little bit. And hopefully the way the Predators are going right now and getting contributions throughout their lineup is the way things go, because, man, this is a tough playoff race. I was writing about the trade deadline this morning on ESPN.com, and just it is incredible how many teams in the West that maybe we didn't think would be coming to this party at this point are knocking on the door for the wild card right now.
Greg, when you first heard the article about Barry Trotz basically grounding the Preds from going to see U2, I got to tell you, Greg, a lot of people that don't follow hockey were commenting about this, asking me, is this true? What's going on? When you first heard this, did you think it was an article out of The Onion?
No. This is the way old school hockey guys work, man. This is, if things aren't going well for your team, you cancel Christmas. You know what I mean? You gotta get their attention. If the Predators were high on the hog and they were third in the Central Division, they'd be grooving to Achtung Baby right now. But it doesn't work that way. If you're not performing up to standards, if you're trying to get the attention, especially the attention of a younger team, sometimes you have to take drastic measures. And, listen, unfortunately, U2 is not going to be at the Sphere for in perpetuity. Next time they go back to Vegas, I don't know, maybe they can catch Aerosmith or something instead. But obviously this was the thing that had to happen to get their attention, and attention was paid.
How dare you counsel out David Copperfield? How dare you on this show?
I saw David Copperfield a few years ago with my wife, and first of all, still got it as far as the illusions go. There was stuff flying above my head in the audience that I still don't know how he did it. But his remember how he would do those specials back when we were kids, and he'd be real razzle dazzle and very emotional and emphatic. Now it's kind of just it feels like he's reading off a prompter. This is the trick in which when I was a child, it's just if he said the words so many times that they've just become a low hum in between the tricks.
It's amazing. I remember one time he tried to make the Statue of Liberty disappear, and he did it. And I was like, "What?" I stopped. My head exploded after that. So I was like, "What in the world?" Hey, I want to ask you this too. Which some stats just drive me crazy. The New York Islanders have played 14 overtime games, okay? The Predators, too. What does it say when you've played 14 overtime games?
First of all, it's when Copperfield walked through the Great Wall of China that got me. I still don't know how the hell he did that. He walked through the Great Wall of China. The man passed through stone that's been there for thousands and thousands of years.
Right.
It tells you that the Islanders can't hold a lead. Is what it tells you. Like that's the fine point on it. I mean, you saw it again in the Stadium Series loss to the Rangers. This is a team that simply, for whatever reason, can't hold a lead. It falls apart in the third period. So, kudos to them for salvaging points in a lot of those games. It's the reason why the Islanders have been able to hang tight in a wild card race that I think, frankly, has teams that are much better than them. Lingering outside the bubble as well. But that's the reason. It's just the deficiencies that they have led to them going to overtime more often than any other team in the league this year.
Greg Wyshynski is with us, presented by ESPN Bet here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And mentioning the trade deadline, and I was reading through what you put out there earlier today. And when do you think that first domino will drop? We always see a flurry of little things happen, but it looks like this could be an active deadline.
It could be. I had one agent tell me that he thinks it's going to be insane. I had a general manager tell me that, every year we go into it thinking it's going to be quiet, and then it ends up being louder than we expect. So I think you could read the story, but the sense I get around the league is that people expect it's going to be busy. One, because there are so many teams that are in the chase, and two, because they now know that the salary cap is going to, rise exponentially over the next two off seasons, which is a really big deal, and why we could see some players with term move. Now, as far as like the dominoes falling, we've already seen it happen once, which is that the minute the Calgary Flames decide to trade somebody, it gets the dominoes falling. They decide to trade Elias Lindholm to the Vancouver Canucks. Well, then lo and behold, the Winnipeg Jets, who were trying to get Lindholm, end up trading for Sean Monahan. So the Flames have three guys that could really determine a lot about the trade deadline. They've got Chris Tanev, who's a real good defensive defenseman, throwback guy. The minute he goes, a bunch of guys that are in the same vein will probably go. Noah Hanifin, a better defenseman than Tanev, has apparently said he's not coming back to Calgary, going to be a free agent this summer. When they move him, now that's going to be plan B for a bunch of teams that think they might have a shot at him. By the way, I think he'll probably end up in Boston based on everything that I'm seeing and hearing. But we'll see if that comes together or not. And then there's the Jacob Markstrom question, which is, you have teams like the Devils who have gone down the road and trying to maybe get Markstrom. You have other teams that have needs in goal. If he moves, well, that's a major, major chip that moves and could change the goalie market. But we'll see how the goalie thing works. I think there's a lot of teams that are looking to maybe add somebody to a group, try to do it like Vegas did last year, where it's like 5 different guys playing goal for you in the same season. But a few people I've talked to don't expect the goalie market to be too robust. But I think there are definitely options out there for teams if they want to add something to their group. And obviously, there's also some home runs on the table if Markstrom moves, or if somebody does what Barry Trotz says, which is overwhelm him with a trade for UC Saros at some point.
Greg, as you look at the top teams in the league right now in both conferences, so Florida, who's 9-1-0 in their last 10, they've won 6 in a row. Boston, the Rangers have won 8 in a row. Throw the Hurricanes in there, the Stars, maybe the Avs, the Canucks, Vegas that the Preds saw last night. Which team in your mind has pre-deadline the best DNA to win the Stanley Cup?
I think it's probably 2 teams, and they're the teams that bet for it last year. I think Florida has shown that they weren't a fluke last year, that they're a well-built team with a lot of offensive options. Bobrovsky's playing great for them right now. And, the early season panic of why isn't Matthew Tkachuk scoring as many goals as he did last year, well, that's done because now all he does is score goals. So, I mean, they're just a really tough, well-built team and really kind of showed last year was something that wasn't an anomaly. And then the other team is Vegas. And I know that, it might be tough to sell that to a Nashville fan. Saw them get rolled last night, but they got rolled without Jack Eichel in their lineup. They had just gotten Shea Theodore back. The template for me for a championship team is give me 2 good centers, 2 defensemen that play 2/3 of the game, and a goalie that's not going to lose you a series. And even though Hill didn't have his strongest game last night on some of those goals, I didn't think it was his fault. I think he's solid. And Vegas, top to bottom, remains a team that, can beat anybody in this league, especially with the way they play defense.
Well, appreciate it as always. Thanks for being flexible with us today, and we're going to see what happens over the course of the next week, and maybe the Predators can go on a run with this road trip, but we'll talk next week.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, boys.
Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, presented by ESPN Bet, joining us here on the Chase and Big Joe show. We'll come back, tell you what day it is, and also celebrity birthdays. Nashville's best deal of the week is Bavarian Beer House, conveniently located at Opry Mills Mall. Enjoy beer, food, music, and fun in Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, where it's Oktoberfest every day. Just head to theGameNashville.com/deals now to get a $50 gift card for only $25 to Bavarian Beer House while supplies last.
All right, my friends, love hearing from all of you that have used Medical House Calls and love the experience, the commitment, and the care. Here's how it works. One, give them a phone call, because all visits start with a phone call with one of the providers to determine the extent of your needs. Second, pick your treatment. Answer a few questions. They'll provide you with the best treatment options, home visit, telehealth, or virtual prescription. Third, you're going to feel better in no time. Their great medical staff will get you up and running and, yes, feeling better. Board-certified nurse practitioners and physician's assistants will guide you the entire way. In fact, Chuck McDowell used Medical House Calls, so impressed with the service, their commitment, and their care, he bought the company. Just visit the website, medicalhousecalls.com. Go there and read all the great and numerous reviews, how wonderful Medical House Calls is. Again, that's medicalhousecalls.com, where the nearest clinic is your home.
Hey, tune in to 102.5 The Game tonight as Vanderbilt men's basketball takes on Georgia at home. Pregame at 7, tip-off at 7:30, with coverage also available on the 102.5 The Game app and theGameNashville.com. Chasing Big Joe here on this Wednesday and getting ready for. It's hard to believe it's already Wednesday. I mean, the week is halfway there. We've made it, Joe. We're just trucking along.
Time is a thief, Chaser.
Time is a thief. We've had fun today. The answers that you guys and girls have given us, wrong answers only on the Nashville baseball team, have been fantastic.
As always. I mean, it's for the listeners, and the creativity is fantastic. Keep them coming. 615-737-1025. The wrong nickname for Nashville's baseball team that'll be here in the year 2078.
2078. Yeah, I was trying to think of a funny one, but I mean, I've just kind of let our listeners do it.
The Nashville Build-A-Bats. Yeah.
Build-A-Bats?
You know how you Build-A-Bear at the Cool Spring or whatever at the mall? Yeah. Then you have Bob the Builder as your mascot.
You Build-A-Bat.
You have Old Hickory Bat Company sponsor you.
Oh, look at you. All right. I like this. Keep going.
I like that.
And then on top of that, you start building houses outside of the stadium.
But do not give away bats at games, because you know what happens with that.
Oh, that's dangerous.
You got to make sure those beavers don't eat on the sideline. That's not right.
Yeah, you don't want beavers eating. That's right. Yeah, I mean, you get Buc-ee's, right? Buc-ee's could do something.
Oh, man. We're on to something
here,
Joe.
Buc-ee Beaver.
Buc-ee's could do something.
I'd walk around. Chase, would you walk around in a beaver costume all day?
How much am I getting paid?
$100 for 4 hours.
No.
Here's the question. Remember, I always ask this question, too. If you're walking around in a mascot and you're a costume, when you take a picture of somebody, do you smile?
So I have dressed up as a mascot before.
Did you smile?
No.
When they took your picture? Of course you did.
Nope.
Did you not?
Nope. So now you have to guess what mascot I was.
Oh, you were the Channel 5 News Hound.
I was not News Hound. So
Lightning.
No.
Oh.
Good guess, though.
You were Andrew Jackson.
I was not Andrew Jackson. So I worked for – it was a corporate but very well-known store that no longer exists.
Kmart.
Summer job.
Sears.
Nope.
Ben Franklin. Zayres.
I don't want to grow up.
Toys R Us?
You dress as that Jeremy? Is that his name? Jeffrey.
Yes. And the costume, like, stunk and was just was awful. But it was funny because, like, they can't see you. And so, yeah, I was hot and didn't smile and, you know, got kicked in the crotch, like, by kids, like, wanting to, you know, get a picture and everything.
But you're also 6'10", so you make the perfect giraffe.
Oh, it was but it was a tight fit. So D-Mace has weighed in. Nashville potholes or the Nashville party buses?
Party bus is good. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like the
bring
party
the
bus.
team, but you got to bring the team out in the party bus, or again, we talked about the relief pitchers got to come out in a pedal tavern, so we can boo the home team.
Hair Metal Henry, has the Nashville McGavick losers been used yet?
Look, easy. His wife went to McGavick too, so
I know.
All right, times there.
Real quick, sorry we've kind of taken some time here. What day is it and celebrity birthdays?
All right, gentlemen, we have a quick list here. Card Reading Day, International Mother's Language Day. That's always a good thing to have. Yeah, National Grain-Free Day. Single Task Day. You know, tasks you do on a day-to-day basis. World Kombucha Day. Not sure about that. Kombucha, not a fan. Last one we have here is National Sticky Buns Day. I would refer to them as cinnamon rolls, but, you know, pick and choose.
I was thinking something else, but whatever.
whatever way you want to take that. All right, time for celebrity birthdays. Here we go. First birthday, Anthony Daniels. He is C-3PO in that nerdy movie that Chase likes.
Star Wars. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think he was with us anymore. Anthony Daniels is 81.
84.
78. Oh, my goodness. Dr. Crane's birthday today. Kelsey Grammer.
Oh, wow.
How old is Kelsey Grammer?
Kelsey Grammer, 63.
74.
69. Nice. Guys both missed it. Billy Baldwin, one of the 37 Baldwin brothers. He's married to China Phillips from Wilson Phillips.
I think he's the youngest one, too.
He is not.
He's not. Okay, I lied. 58.
62.
61.
Okay.
Nick knows his. Dr. Crane knows his heart throbs. All right, going down here. Never heard of that guy in my life. Good Lord. Jennifer Love Hewitt.
48.
52.
45. Let's see here. Director and actor Jordan Peele, who looks different now than he's not with his buddy anymore. Got a full beard, full head of hair.
44.
42.
45. We're tied at 1. All right, next one's going to win this one, all right? We can do this. All right, this is nice. Down to the buzzer. Let's find somebody that we know of. All these people I've never heard of. All right, come on here. All right, here we go. Find one. We can do this together. Let's see here. Oh, singer Mary Chapin Carpenter, former Nashville resident. How old is Mary Chapin Carpenter?
The twist and shout. 64.
79.
66 at the buzzer. Chase McCain.
Woo!
Well done, Chase. Good job, buddy. You take
Thank
some
you.
birthdays today.
Thank you so much. Also want to mention MTSU basketball, Jacksonville State tonight. Pregame at 5:30. Tip-off at 6 on 93.3 Classic Hits.
Hey, as we leave you every show to our guys out there, look, we know if you're going through some tough times, there's ways we can help you. Please, on your cell phone, dial 988. Somebody's always there to talk to you. Reach out to us if you're struggling. It's okay not to be okay. Know that we love you, then our world is really a better place because you are here. Please know that, and again, know that we love you.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.